Malaria concerns everybody in these parts. If you've not had malaria, which is very doubtful, then you know somebody who has had one, or you have a relative who has had a bout of malaria. Now is the time to call in with any questions you have. The number to call is 01-2206-842. That's 01-2206-842 while the discussion continues. We were talking about what malaria might look like without international funding.
Yes, well, now, taking up the ownership of the program, by the time the international funding is withdrawn, malaria will probably hit hard on us, except government shows more commitment towards eradicating malaria. That is, government takes over from where the international community has stopped. But if government is not really showing any interest, I feel sorry for you and I.
Sober thinking there. What are our current methods of prevention? Current acceptable methods of prevention?
First and foremost is we talk about health education, in which we talk to people about malaria. We make them know what it is like about malaria. Then the second thing about it is good hygiene, in which we talk about stagnant water, prevention of stagnant water around our house and all that. Then another thing is the use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets, which has been well propagated, and that is why you see even in some of the government hospitals they distribute insecticide-treated mosquito nets to pregnant women because of the adverse effect of malaria in pregnancy. Now, likewise, we also talk about the use of insecticides in the homes.
Yes.
Like fleets and so on.
You know, when I was looking up indoor residual spraying,
yeah.
I was expecting to see a can, you know, but they came in, it was something like a hose. Okay. Is that what is done? You go in with something like a hose and spray the whole house?
Well, when you talk about spraying the house, well, for that, you and I may not be able to keep that kind of thing in the house.
Yes.
And that is where all those can and the rest of them comes in.
I think we're having a call. Hello.
Hello.
Your name, please?
My name is Sumi calling from Yaba.
Okay.
My name is Sumi calling from Yaba.
All right. Could we have your question?
Yeah, I want to know, there's this saying that some people are not prone to malaria. Is it medically confirmed?
Just a minute. Could you reduce the Could you reduce the volume on your monitor so that we don't get a howl back here?
Okay.
Yes, I think that's better. Your question was, are there some people who don't have malaria, who are immune?
Yes, who are not prone
to malaria. Okay. All right. So Fumi is asking, thank you very much, Fumi, by the way. She's asking, is it true?
It's not true. There is nobody
that is not prone.
That is not prone to malaria.
There was this story about, you know, if your genotype is AS, then you will hardly have malaria. But if you're AA, sorry for you. That's not true?
It says you will hardly have malaria. It has not said you will not have malaria.
Okay.
There is a difference between...
But is that true?
That's true.
Okay.
Because there is something we talk about in genetic predisposition. Like when you talk about cerebral malaria, it's more common in extremes of age, in children and in elderly.
That is the malaria that gets into the brain because of a weak blood-brain barrier.
Yeah. Now, in those two extremes of age, there is something called ICAM1. I'm trying to avoid too much of medical jargon.
Okay, as long as you can explain it.
ICAM1 in full means intracellular adhesion molecule 1. Okay? And the word intracellular adhesion molecules, you can imagine something like a super glue.
The molecules stick
together. So, infected red blood cells, malaria-infected blood cells, they have high affinity for that ICAM1.
Okay.
And because in those extremes of age, the molecule is higher in quantity. So they easily get the malaria trapped.
And that is how
brain.
come children
that
are
is
more
why they are
susceptible,
more susceptible
and the
to-
elderly
and the
as well.
elderly.
And when the elderly do get malaria, sometimes it can be quite devastating.
It can be very, very devastating.
And you know, the younger people find themselves asking, is it not just
It's
malaria you had? But
Yes.
it's not like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've answered Fumi's question there. Now, we were talking about prevention methods. We're talking about preventive
The
methods.
measures, yes. So we've talked about the spraying cans and all that. Those are and then the other thing is intermittent malaria medications.
Okay, before we go on, I understand there's a call coming in. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name
Sheye.
is Shirley.
Could we have your question, Sheye?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
Yeah, I'm Sheriff calling from Adekiti.
Yes, your question.
Yeah, my question is that I normally have malaria every month.
Every month.
And I keep on treating it every month. Is there another thing I can...
Thank you very much, Sheye. We'll ask the doctor to answer your question. Malaria every month, that's pretty heavy.
Yes. One of the things we need to understand is that in endemic area, we often overdiagnosed malaria. We say fever equals to malaria in an endemic area, but that has led to over-diagnosis of malaria.
Okay.
Now, there are other causes of fever as well, okay? And that is why WHO came about to the idea that for you to treat malaria, the diagnosis must be established by a laboratory.
So what you're saying is that Sheye probably is not always
is
having
having
malaria.
malaria.
It could be
Could be
something,
something
else.
else.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue from there. We'll take another short break and be with you shortly, after which you can still call with your questions.